Yes, please.
Good morning, everyone. I, Dr. Neha Parihar, welcome you all. I would like to begin with one quote from Hippocrates. There are in fact two things, science and opinion. The former begets knowledge, the latter ignorance. Let's begin the webinar. VETICOS Advanced Learning is organizing a series of webinar which is CAC, Career Advancement Counseling. So here in the continuation of this series, here is one more webinar on CAC Veterinary Microbiology. So our today's speaker is Dr. Indranil Samanta sir, Ph.D., NAAS Associate, FAPHV, Trinity Challenge on AMR, MIT winner World Top 2% Scientist in Agriculture Dairy Sciences, Stanford University list. Associate Editor, Plos 1, Frontiers in Veterinary Sciences. Indian Journal of Animal Health Associate Professor, cum Head of Department of Veterinary Microbiology, West Bengal University and Fishery Industries. We are thankful that Sir is taking our webinar today. Sir's mother suffered heart attack yesterday, so we couldn't conduct the webinar yesterday, and we are grateful that Sir is conducting. Sir, shall we start the webinar?
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Neha Pariyar, for your kind introduction. So, before formal starting, let me share a few words about the world where we live. Basically, we are macroscopic creature. That means our world is over the microscope. But there is a beautiful world which is present under the microscope. So today I am going to talk about little bit about that world which is being covered under the microscope. Now this world is basically divided into two parts. One is pathogenic and another one is beneficial. So as we are the veterinarians or the medicos, we mostly deal with the pathogens because it is clinically important. So we want to treat the animals or birds or for medicos it is the human side. So we are dealing with the pathogenic one, but the beneficial one, that is also equally important, because if you encourage the growth of beneficial microbes, beneficial bacteria, that can replace the pathogen within your gut, within your body system. So it will be more healthy, better than treat them. Why it is better than treatment? Because treatment is mostly associated with use of a specific kind of drug. You all know about it. It is called antibiotic. That means it is anti-bios. It is anti against some biological system, biological entity. So whenever you are using anti something, it has lot of side effects. You all know, or you will let you know. You will be known in your pharmacology course that what are the different kind of side effects for each group of antibiotic. I'm not going to discuss that. But besides, there is a huge problem of using the antibiotic in human as well as livestock and poultry sector, and that problem is emerging nowadays. Not only emerging, but it has already emerged actually. It is called antimicrobial resistance. Basically I work on this particular aspect for last more than 1 decade. And I let me introduce a few points about me. I'm graduated from this university, that is West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science, postgraduated from Indian Veterinary Research Institute in Bareilly. My department was veterinary bacteriology and mycology. And then I joined as an assistant professor in SK University of Agricultural Science and Technology at Srinagar, Kashmir. where I worked for a few years. Then I came back to my state to join some state service. Later, I joined this current university and I completed my PhD in veterinary microbiology. With this background, I started my career. Then, before that, I also qualified the both the ICR and CSR NET. And during starting of my career, what I have seen that whenever we go to treat the animals, so we follow a typical rule, which is mostly uh, blank. That is, there is no rule actually. We follow the treatment protocol in the blank way. We don't know what is the positive agent. We don't know what is the etiology, but we start to treat. And in most of the cases, in my time, it was started with a yellow color liquid. Uh, if you practice or if you have some experience in the different animal health center, you will know that particular yellow color liquid is used in every almost every case without knowing the etiology, without knowing anything about the case. That yellow color liquid is nothing but then oxytetracycline, which is the most common drug which is used in veterinary treatment in every aspect. Why we use the oxytetracycline when we don't know whether bacteria is there, whether the bacteria are really pathogenic, and the most important thing is whether the particular bacteria, if it is pathogenic, it is really sensitive to that oxytetracycline. We don't know. We never care for it. We never taste for it. So if we do those things without testing and without knowing about it, then this kind of problem like antimicrobial resistance that will arise, which has already arisen actually. And it is estimated that 10 million people is going to die by the year 2050 in every year with only this single problem. Now, it's a huge number. Even it is more than the diabetes, even it is more than the tetanus, road accident, and lot of other disease which usually talk about it, but we never talk about this AMR or antimicrobial resistance. So it is nowadays called silent killer, which is going to kill so many of people. Not only that, but also the livestock production is going to be decreased, and as a result, consequently, the GDP is also going to decrease with this single particular problem. Here lies the importance of microbiology. Microbiology is not only the seeing the slides by making the gram stain, which we normally do, but also making the uh, clinician aware which kind of drug he should use in a particular case. So let's start with my presentation. Now, is it visible? Okay, I'm making it full screen. Okay. Now, what is microbiology? What I was telling in brief currently, it is the branch of science which deals with the minute forms of life like the bacteria, virus, fungi, prion also. Yes, it is not in the full screen. Okay. Hmm. But here it is saying, showing that it is in full screen. Is it okay? Let me do one thing. No, it is not coming. I think is it visible, na? Okay. I have I I have clicked here actually. In my system, it is in full screen. Okay, okay, okay. So the study includes the structure, classification, growth and nutrition, natural habitat, genome, antigenic characteristics, virulence, toxin, pathogenesis, and diagnosis. Not only that, the subject also considers the food production, food processing, manufacture of life-saving drugs and biofuel, even environmental pollution, climate change, biodegradation. These are also coming under the microbiology. Now, it not only caters the basic need of human life, that is the safe food, because if you are going to eat something, it should be microbiologically tested. Drinking water, it should be safe. And but not only that, it is not restricted to that particular thing, but also basic human queries like diversity of life in the earth. Till now, we don't know actually how many microbes are present in the earth, and presence of extraterrestrial life in the universe that may also contain certain kind of microbes which we do not know. We all know about this figure, this particular person, the famous Louis Pasteur, 1822 to 95. He was a basically a biologist from France, and he actually coined the term microbiology. And for his enormous scientific contribution, he is popularly known as father of microbiology. Now, we all know that veterinary science, veterinary subject is divided into two broad category. That is, one is veterinary science, another one is the animal science. I'm not coming with the dealing with the animal science. So let's talk about the veterinary science. Basically, it contains micro, para, patho, pharma, surgery, medicine, gynae. Those are clinical subjects. Then public health and epidemiology, and anatomy and histology. Now, why pertinent? Why veterinary microbiology? Because it is associated with the microbes having importance in the health of the livestock, poultry, not only that, companion animals, fur bearing animals, and game birds. And without the knowledge of microbiology, as I was telling previously, that curative veterinary medicine cannot offer, yes, okay. So, as I was saying previously, that without the knowledge of veterinary microbiology, the curative veterinary medicine cannot offer the precise treatment. Basically, it is dependent on the trial and error protocol. So, you may start with the yellow color liquid, that is oxytetracycline, or nowadays it is replaced with ceftriax and tazobactam. But we don't know exactly whether it will work or not. So basically, it is the treatment of symptoms, what we are doing, not the cause. Because until and unless you are having the microbial diagnosis, not only microbial diagnosis, but it may be parasitological diagnosis also, but that is also equally important. So here lies the importance of paraclinical subjects. This is the pillar, and if you are going to construct your building without a pillar, then obviously it will be vanished within a fewer days. And the most important part is, it creates the difference between a qualified vet and a underqualified paravet or a quack. They don't know what is microbiology. They don't know what is, why you are using the drug, that reason, that cause. They don't know. They just follow the prescriptions of other qualified vets that, oh, in this case they have used such kind of drugs, so we will also do the same thing. And we are facing this problem of coax or paravets, I think, in every state, in my state also, and obviously it will be in other states also, because we are less in number in every state. I think qualified vet number is very low. Even as per the recent estimate, it was total 70,000 something in throughout the country. So you can imagine it is not even 1 lakh also. But if you if you count the number of paravets or quarks, it will be huge. So you must create some difference with them. Then automatically people will have a faith or trust on the real qualified vet. Now, this knowledge of veterinary microbiology also helps in selection of precise drug, which I was telling that through the antibiotic sensitivity assay, as well as development of diagnostics and new vaccine, which is utmost required to prevent the infection. We all know these are the branches of veterinary microbiology. First one is the bacteriology, then virology. Mycology is dealing with fungus, and immunology is the immune system, how immune systems are evaded, and how there are different tricks of vaccine production. These are basically coming under veterinary immunology. Now, other than degree, which we all have, there are some skill which is required to become a good microbiologist, maybe veterinary microbiologist. First is the laboratory proficiency. You should have a practical knowledge in the laboratory techniques. It should not be theoretical only. At least you should know how to handle the culture in the laboratory, how to handle the pathogens in the laboratory, what are the basic criteria that should be present in that particular laboratory. Every pathogen cannot be handled in every kind of laboratory, because there are several categories of laboratories which are present. It is called BSL, biosecurity laboratories. Levels are there: level 1, level 2, level 3. Basically, we all do up to level 2. For level 3, we need special permission from government, as well as we need some special kind of infrastructure. So this knowledge is the basic knowledge, because if you are doing some work with BSL-3 pathogen, which is the work should be done in the BSL-3 laboratory, and you are supposed to doing in the BSL-1 or 2 laboratory, then it is not only risky for the environment, but also you and all the laboratory workers who are working with you. So this basic knowledge should be there. Proficiency in the microbiological culture, isolation identification techniques, both the traditional and Vitek system, that should be known. Traditional means what we do regularly, like what are the kind of biochemical tests that should be done in the laboratory to identify a particular group of bacteria. Say, for example, indole. It's a very basic primitive test, but we should know that if where the red ring should appear, after how many time the after how many seconds, how many minutes the red ring should be appear in positive case. This minute details should be known. Vitek is an automatic system which is based on this biochemical techniques, but it is done automatically. Where if you put the culture, it will give a presumptive result that it may be E. coli, it may be salmonella, like that. But in several cases, Vitek results should be verified or cross-verified should be the traditional techniques also. Besides, we have molecular biology methods like polymerase chain reaction, we know PCR, followed by sequencing. If you are doing the sequencing, in that case, you should have knowledge of the bioinformatic analysis, because the sequence which is generated from your particular isolate, whether it is really falling in that particular category of that bacteria, that can be known by the bioinformatic analysis only. Second thing is the analytical acumen. you should have a analytical mind so that you can interpret the complex microbiological data, you can identify the pathogen, as well as you should know the pattern of the antimicrobial resistance. So veterinary microbiologist must possess the following abilities, that is, first is the critical evaluation of scientific literature, because until and unless you know that uh, what is going on not only in the country but throughout the world with a particular pathogen, you cannot interpret properly. Second, troubleshoot experimental protocol, because SOP is there. Your lab supervisor, your SARs, your MAMs, your guides, they will provide the SOP that this is the standard operating protocol for a particular test. You go for it. Every SOP has some troubleshoot because it's a biological research. It's not a mathematics. Here, 2 plus 2 is not equal to 4 always. It may be 3, it may be 5. That interpretation should be required. And if you are facing that kind of troubleshoot, you should know how to come out of it. So here, a laboratory senior who is working more than years than you, he or she can play a very important role because he knows the techniques for several years. He is doing the same thing, so you can take a suggestion from him. So that kind of relationship, a good relationship with the seniors, is always required if you want to do a good work in the laboratory. Third, actionable insights from the experimental finding. You got a very good data that your experiment was highly successful, you got a very good data, but you don't know what is the interpretation of that data. What will you do with that data? So that capacity should be there. You should know what you are doing and what is your objective. That should be very much clear. Then problem solving aptitude, because when you are facing the diagnostic challenge and the emerging infection, you must exhibit the problem solving skill. You should be able to formulate a hypothesis, because that is the basic criteria of any scientific research. Until and unless you are having a hypothesis, you cannot work properly. According to this hypothesis, with the help of your mentor, you should design the experiment, and you will devise the innovative solutions. Another important thing is the communication skill, because this is essential for not only for conveying the scientific concept but also interpret the diagnostic result and collaborating with the interdisciplinary team. So a veterinary microbiologist should possess the ability to communicate complex ideas clearly to varieties type of audience. Obviously, first of all, your colleagues, your friends, you start with them. You may have to communicate to the patient party or the clients which you are having. Then, in broader scale, you may have to communicate to the policymaker who don't know about the science, may not know about the science, but you have to make it clear why it is important. And finally, to the public or mass, because our ultimate motto is the awareness of the public as well as mass awareness program. Why it is important? Because in the context of this post COVID era, there is always another threat of pandemic. You must be knowing it. In every day's newspaper, media, lot of news come that this virus has flared up, that virus has flared up. Even in the time of COVID, if you can remember, that every day there was an update on the microbiological data, that particular strain of the COVID, it has diminished now, a new strain has flared up. So at that time, when I used to travel in the public transport system, I always listen that people are talking about the microbiology, And I was very fascinating that, oh, really it is very challenging that when I hear that there is a one bus conductor and even a bus driver, they are talking about the COVID, they are talking about the new strain, they are talking about the PCR, real time PCR. It was so astonishing that how the people are getting acquainted with the microbiology. So COVID as has at least made such kind of awareness, though we have to pay a lot for it, but fortunately or unfortunately COVID has already done it. So this kind of things should be required. How to make aware about the people, you should have a sufficient communication skill for that. Interdisciplinary collaboration, obviously, it is very important, especially for the veterinary microbiology person, because you have to deal with a lot of people from veterinary medicine, then general microbiology people. General microbiology people, what I feel that they have a good idea about bacterial structure, viral structure, fungal structure, but they don't know the clinical aspect of these things. So that you should make them aware. Then epidemiology people, public health people, because all the complex issues which is related to the infectious disease or AMR, that should be communicated, that should be discussed in every aspect of the society, in every corner of the society. So you should have a good collaboration linkage, or that is known as interdisciplinary collaboration. Another thing is required, that is attention to detail, because when you are collecting the sample or you are processing a data and you are going to give a interpretation, then you should have meticulous care to ensure the accuracy and reproducibility of this particular work. If you are claiming something new, if you are claiming something novel, you make sure first. You may repeat the whole process several times in your laboratory, so that everybody, because when you are going to make it public, then they will also start to copy it, and they, if they find that it is not working, then you will be in a trouble. Adaptability and resilience, why this is required? Because we are living in a rapid evolving field, which is characterized by emerging pathogen, then epidemiological trend is shifting. So we should have a ability to demonstrate adaptability and resilience. That means we should know latest development in the field, we should embrace the new technologies and adaptation of approaches to meet these dynamic challenges which is posed by infectious disease in the animals. Now coming to the what are the scope with the veterinary microbiology in the Indian government sector. It is little bit known by you also, I think, because first is the scientist post. It's a central government scientist post. You must be knowing ICR is having agricultural research scientist system. Similar system is there by CSIR, that is Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. ICMR, that is Indian Council of Medical Research. They gives a good pay package following the central government financial regulation. Second is the assistant professor in the central or state agricultural or veterinary university. They, if it is central government university, they will follow the central pay package. If not, they follow the state pay package, but it's not bad. Third is the scientist at state government. It may be SU, SVU, or it may be state animal disease diagnosis unit, or it may be state vaccine production unit. Fourth is the epidemiologist, vector control officer, or animal disease monitoring nodal officer for the state government. Then, Indian private sector. Microbiology, veterinary microbiology is having a huge scope in the Indian private sector, like poultry industries R&D wing, that is research and development wing. So here it is required for development of new diagnostic tool, then vaccine candidate to control the infection, alternatives of antimicrobials to be used in the feed, because it's a cutting edge or current trend of research where lot of alternatives are used in the poultry industry to reduce the use of the antibiotic, because lot of antibiotics are used in poultry industry and which is correlated with the antimicrobial resistance. Then there is private diagnostic unit for animal disease detection. You may have own startup with the diagnostic center for animal or poultry disease. Say for example, recently Government of India has an initiative under this scheme Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, that is RKVY. It's called Raftar scheme, where any vet with a registration number can apply for a new startup, and if it is found promising, they are going to fund you with some seed fund, as well as there may be a own startup for contract research organization. Now, what is that? This is actually flourishing throughout the country. Lot of contract research organizations are there from different other sectors, but it is very low in number, especially for the veterinary sector. If any new drug molecule or if any new feed substance it is appearing or it is coming in the market, before that it should be tested in the first in the laboratory animals, then in the livestock or poultry sector. So that testing part, following all the guidelines, is done by this kind of organization. This is called contract research organization. So here also a lot of microbiologists are required, and actually few veterinary microbiologists also work here, and even a vet can start their own startup with this CRO. Now, what is emerging scope in case of India? These are some areas where which was mostly untouched by the veterinary people, but now there it is flaring up and a lot of people are coming. One is the FSSI auditor. If you are having completed the course, that is accredited leader course in the food safety management system, you may become a lead auditor. Then quality or technical manager for ISO 17020. These are people who is responsible for evaluating, auditing, and ensuring the compliance of inspection body. This role involves conducting assessments, providing guidance, and assisting the inspection bodies in maintaining the highest standard of quality and competence in their inspection activities. Then CEO for certification bodies, it should be a completed lead auditor training program or a training course, and it should be accredited under ACV, that is accredited certification bodies. What is the job role? What they actually do? They are responsible to implement and maintain the food safety management system according to regulatory requirements and international standard. They conduct the regular internal audit and inspections. They prepare and maintain the documentation. Then they conduct the assessment and audit of the certification bodies, like that. Now coming to another exclusive scope. This is for if you are interested to settle in abroad, say for example US, where veterinary microbiologists must complete a professional veterinary degree, as well as you should qualify the American College of Veterinary Microbiology certification exam. How you can qualify that? First route is, if you have completed a PhD with a major emphasis in the veterinary microbiology, then you can directly sit for this their examination. Second is, if you have completed master degree along with additional experience, which would be earned by a PhD candidate, then this additional experience may include full-time research role, it may be teaching at a university, or even practice in a diagnostic laboratory. Third route is, A candidate must satisfactorily complete a training program, that is a residency training program, minimum of 104 weeks, and then you may join it. And the fourth route does not require a master's or PhD, but the candidate must have equivalent experience and demonstrate the increasing level of responsibility in their role. So in this way, you can enter this program, this ACVM certification exam program. Uh, they are having a particular website where you can get more details about it. But if you qualify for it, then you will be entitled for very good job opportunity in US. There are some non-exclusive scope. Why I am telling it non-exclusive? These are not exclusively for veterinary microbiologists, but these are for all kind of microbiologists. But obviously, veterinary microbiologists can take upper hand in all these kind of scopes. First is the industrial biotechnology. What is that? They actually study that how cell, tissue, and organism they work and which can be developed for industrial application. They may develop new medicine. They may use the bacteria in the waste treatment procedure, where obviously veterinary microbiologist can have a specific role. Business analyst. If you are really interested for a business, then you should join it. Business analyst actually collect and analyzes the data about an organization's operation to improve the decision making. So, does it really require microbiology? Because with a microbiology background, actually, it can provide insights whether to invest in technologies that use biological system, incubators, chillers, etc. So they can analyze the scientific or medical data and they can recommend their company the strategies and decisions. Food technologies, yes, you must be knowing it because they study the chemical, biological, and physical properties of the food and they work to ensure the food items are microbiologically safe, healthy, and nutritious. Water treatment specialist. What they do, they actually ensure groundwater, surface water, and drinking water should meet the required standard. So they analyze the water sample to determine what treatment procedure to perform. Then water treatment specialist typically they supervise or perform the installation of water purification equipment. And they may also work in ensuring effective water storage and distribution apparatus. Marine biologists basically this studies the plants and animals in seas and ocean. So their work involves actually understanding how human and natural occurrences like flood affect the marine species and ecosystem. So their role typically involve collecting and analyzing the sample and working underwater. Technical writer. Technical writer basically simplifies the technical concept for a target audience by creating the written documents. So if you are having a microbiology background, so you can explain the microbiology concept for others to understand in a very simple language. So they may create the training manual, they may create the laboratory protocols, user manual, SOP, etc. Finally, brewer. What is a brewer? You must be knowing. Brewer actually create and distribute the beer for the customer. This profession is not very much found in our country, but it's a very good profession in abroad, and they ensure consistent quality of brews by selecting the beer ingredients. So mixing ingredients accurately, that here lies the knowledge of microbiology, and controlling the brewing process, how much it should be. If you are adding some organism, maybe yeast, so what should be the quantity, how much time of fermentation should be there here microbiological knowledge is required. So it may work for large companies or it may have their own startup, and brewing typically involves the microorganism, as I have told that most often it is yeast. So this is all about the what are the career scopes, that is exclusive and non-exclusive scopes, which are present for the veterinary microbiology. Now, here are few subject study material. Uh, I have written several books on the veterinary bacteriology, as well as veterinary mycology, which is actually prescribed by ICR for the PG course. Recently, we have published neglected zoonosis and antimicrobial resistance, how they are creating hindrance in getting the sustainable development goal by United Nations. Thank you for your kind attention. Yes, yes, yes. I have seen it. Thank you. This is a very good query. That do we have to learn the course of bioinformatics in the course, or just we have to learn it practically? Actually, it is there. If you a part of bioinformatics is already there in the veterinary microbiology course, because biotechnology is also there. I think it is unit 3 in undergraduate course. So yes, both theory and practical will be required. At least the basic thing. Say for example, if you are getting a sequence, then how to blast it in the NCBI website. Blasting is the most basic criteria to know whether the sequence is typically coming from a particular microbe or not. So this kind of idea should be there. Then there are a lot of other bioinformatics analysis. If we go for whole genome sequencing, then how to analyze those sequences, how to align those sequences, that typically requires some specific skill and higher knowledge. But at least blasting and this kind of basic idea should be there to handle the microbiology currently in a proper way. Okay, second is that I have completed my B.Sc in microbiology and doing my M.Sc in biotechnology. Can I think of going to vet microbiology for Ph.D? No, I don't think so, because if you are interested for vet microbiology as a Ph.D. Major subject, then you should be a vet first of all. Then you should have a B.V.Sc followed by M.V.Sc in microbiology. Then you can opt for the vet microbiology for PhD. I want to move to US. Would it be appropriate for me to do this? Obviously, if you can get a chance and with a visa, then obviously it will be appropriate. There is a recent saying that scope for veterinary microbiology is less. Well, if you see the COVID and post-COVID scenario, you can understand yourself that how much microbiology is important. And in the coming era, there is let me share a few things, like a lot of funds are given by the World Bank and World Health Organization to be utilized only to know how much risk is there in getting another pandemic. So new diagnostic centers are coming out with government backup in different countries, including India, where lot of pure veterinary microbiologists will be required, because these are the people who knows both the thing, who knows animal as well as the microbes which is present in the animal. These are very super specialized persons which will be required. So here lies a huge scope for veterinary microbiology. With the because this kind of knowledge is not available in other course, in other subjects, because parasitology they are dealing with only parasites, and pathology they are dealing with different organs, their deformities, etc. But until and unless you should have a clear cut knowledge about the bacteria, virus, their biology, and their effect on the animal system, you cannot do this particular kind of work. So I don't think that it is having a less scope, but it is having a very huge scope in coming days. This is a very good question. What are the exam we have to give in FSSI exams? That I have already discussed. There is a lead auditor course exam is there, which you have to appear and you have to qualify. For veterinarian, I don't think it will be very much difficult, but if you can qualify it, it's having a huge scope in the future. What is the procedure to become an ARS scientist, and is PhD necessary to become an ARS scientist? I think PhD is now necessary as per the latest advertisement. It is their criteria, and procedure is you have to appear for their written exam followed by interview. There is a ASRB is there, that is Agriculture Scientist Recruitment Board is there. So they're going to conduct the exam every year, but number of posts varies. It may be, even it may be one or two, or it may be five or six. So it is having high competition. If you are qualifying for the written, then you will be get a call for interview, and interview is also having some specific marks is there. By combining both, then you are going to be selected. Is pursuing a PhD in veterinary microbiology better in India or abroad? It depends on the country where you are going to do. Obviously, developed country will be far. It will be better, and if you are getting chance for a PhD from a reputed institute, then definitely it will work in a better way. And otherwise, in my opinion, complete the PhD in India, then go for postdoc, because uh, there is some less restriction for the postdoc, because PhD will have a huge competition, because here you will not be treated as a veterinary microbiology PhD, but you have to compete all the people who are coming from general streams throughout the world. You have to compete with them. But if you are going for a postdoc, then it will be less competitive, because you have already worked in a particular stream, particular fraction where you have researched, you have gained your knowledge, you have having a good publication, and you know the things, and you want to make it elaborate, you want to make it further, then it will be much more easier. And I think for PhD, the other things will be also required, like TOEFL or IELTS. Those things are also required. But in case of postdoc, that things are not there. What are good colleges to pursue PG in India? Okay, obviously, national institutes will be the best one. Uh, I will recommend for Indian Veterinary Research Institute. Even their branches, like one branch is there in Eastern Regional Station, Calcutta is also there. Southern Station is there in Bangalore. Palampur also there. So these all stations are well equipped. What is procedure to join as scientist in ICMR after M.V.Sc? Is there any exam? This is a very good question. There is This is very surprising actually. Only ICR take the written exam to recruit the scientists. No other organization take any kind of written exam for recruitment of the scientists. Like ICMR, CSIR, they only take the interviews and they only go through your CV. They will judge your scientific potentiality through your track record. That is, if you are having a good series of publication or patent, then you can apply. Every institute, they it varies actually from institute to institute. Some institute, they go for a rolling cycle recruitment procedure. That is, throughout the year, anybody can apply at any time in their website. Or some institutes, they follow the traditional rule that they make a advertisement in the newspaper, then people apply online or offline, then they appear for the interview. But in these cases, which I mean to stress, that good track publication is required. Wha- What is that? Let me clear about it. Publication, which I haven't discussed here because I thought it should be the beginners, it should be for the beginners. Publication has basically two types. One is the non-indexed publication, another one is the indexed publication. If you are going to publish your work in non-indexed journal, non-indexed means whether it is not, the journal is not accredited by NAAS, that is National Academy of Agricultural Sciences. They are publishing every year a list of journal which is accredited by them, or even not by the UGC, then it has no value. Better not to publish uh, if the journal is having no accreditation. Now, for index journal, there is a actually, it's called impact factor. So you should know before publishing that what is the impact factor of that particular journal. Generally, for veterinary microbiology, if you are doing some good work, the impact factor may vary from 2 to 4 or maybe 5. So if you are going to publish in this kind of journal, at least one or two from your PG work or from your PhD work, then you will be considered as a potential candidate for this ICMR or CSR institutes, because here you have to compete with the general microbiology people. So they are also getting published in a good reputed journal. So you should know all these things, because here no written examination based there. ICR only takes the recruits the scientist without judging their research capability. They only judge about the theoretical potentiality. Whether recruitment procedure for ARS scientists is completely based on exam or they check for publication also. Mostly it is based on exam, how much you are scoring. But if you are getting call for interview, obviously you have a scope to show your publication. Is it the recruitment in ARS ICMR are regular? Uh, this is a very difficult question, uh, and very difficult to predict actually whether it will be regular or not. You have to follow. You have to follow the all the websites whether they are regularly advertising or not. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes, please. Thank you.